centro?
Certo.
Attenzione.
Si può parlare senza mascherina?
Le presentazioni gliele gestite voi da qui. Perché ho detto Romina di parlare con...
Come è possibile? Su Zoom lo possono...
Io ho scritto grande perché non ci vedo più, capito? Una certa età.
No, ma scritto piccola perché pensavo che non leggevo il numero di cuffie.
No, non leggo perché non sono capace, perché non ci vedo, quindi non devo ricordare.
Non possono condividere su Zoom?
Aspetta.
Vabbè, senti di la Barbara per favore.
Grazie, tanto piacere Marco Brunelli. Molto bene. Bravi.
Okay. We could start. Good morning to everyone and welcome to the final conference of Life Tackle. My name is Tiberio Daddi. I am an associate professor at Scuola Superiore Sant'Anna and I have the honor to be the project manager of Life Tackle. Today, as you have seen in the program, we have a quite tight schedule agenda, so I will start to give the floor to Mr. Diego Nepi Molineris for his welcome speech. Thank you, Mr. Molineris, to be here, naturally.
Yeah. Good morning to everybody. Good morning, Marco Brunelli. It's a really pleasure to be here with you. And good morning to everyone. I'm glad to host all of you here for this very important conference. We have come to end of an interesting journey that began in 2028. A journey that has seen us proudly involved in pursuing the common goal for disseminating good practice related to environment management of football match, both from a governance point of view and from an operating side. Today, we are here to learn about its activity, the initiative carried out and the results achieved by all of us. Sport e Salute is very linked and attentive to the issue of sustainability and ecology and environment. So I'm very proud that we have finally rolled up our sleeves together to carry out a beautiful project, Life Tackle is. Good luck to everyone, and thanks again for being here, Marco.
Thank you to Mr. Molineris, General Director of Sport and Salute. Thank you again. So now I would move to Marco Brunelli, General Secretary of Italian Football Association, one of the Life Tackle partner. Thank you, Marco Brunelli, to be here today, and naturally also for the support you gave to the project through its whole duration.
Good morning also from my side. Thanks, Tiberio. Thanks, Diego, for the kind and warm hospitality.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests from the academic side, from the sporting and non-sporting institutions. They are partners involved in this important project. Welcome also from my side, also on behalf of the President of the Italian FA, Gabriele Gravina, to Rome and to this iconic, I would say, location which hosted so many sporting and non-sporting big events. It's a real privilege and honor for me also, on behalf of all the colleagues of the Italian National Association, to host you attending this final stage of a path that, as Diego has already said, started several years ago altogether. These are very hard times. What we are seeing very close to our borders in the core of Europe is dramatic and unacceptable from any point of view. Seeing people suffering in this way is simply not acceptable, and especially or also after a couple of years of pandemic, which affected and changed dramatically our lives. So we could say, if in this framework, in this context, does it make sense to spend time to deal with environmental and sustainable issues? The only possible answer that cannot be but yes, because there is also a link, I think, between these two issues. Simply because, especially in these dramatic hours, I think that we should more and more than in the past try to do everything, any effort we are able to do to grant everybody, our sons, our daughters, the future generations, ourselves, to a better, safer and more sustainable world, because it's simply our duty. And so also this project, this attempt, these initiatives is certainly well focused and well committed to this. Sustainability is a quite popular word in our modern society. It is on the top of the agenda of politicians, of societies, of even common people. Commonly is referred to economic and financial sustainability, human one, social, political one, and I think that environmental sustainability is a key element of this process. Life Tackle is a platform more than a simple project. We are really proud to have been involved in. It is a fantastic project for several reasons, I would say. Because of the topic, of course, we already spent a few words on that, and it is not needed to add more. Because it is a multitasking exercise. It involves cultural approach, training, education, dissemination of best practices, as already Diego already mentioned, and concrete actions. This is maybe the most important aspects to highlight. Also because it represents it is a real call for action for our world, specifically addressed to the football context. This is one of the biggest facilities we have in Italy. Every week, for a couple of times every week, 60,000 or something like this people flows in and go out in a couple of hours. This is an urban community which moves and involves issues that refers to environment, transportation, waste management, energy consumption, and so. The way in which football is committed to give its contribution in this direction is absolutely fundamental. And last but not least, because it is a real team game. All the stakeholders, or so many stakeholders, are involved, work together, and give a clear, concrete, practical example of how joining forces, something like that could be imagined and carried out, I think. Will it be easy and fast and immediate? Certainly not. But I think that with the support, the concrete support of everybody, it is a challenge that can be absolutely faced and won. So many thanks to everybody for having accepted to join us in this effort. Many thanks.
Thank you to Mr. Brunelli and also to Mr. Molineris, naturally, for your welcome speech. UEFA has been a key actor in the frame of life tackle. Already 4 years ago, we were designing together this project before the submission. So today we are very happy to have here with us Michele Uva, the Director of Football Social Responsibility Department of UEFA, that will let us know more about their sustainability strategy. Thank you, Michele. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I think that I need to use the... I feel strange to speak English in the Olympic Stadium and in Italy, but it's I know that there are some guests that speak English. I think that audio is not the best, huh? Do you hear me? Yeah. First of all, thanks to Sport and Salute and his director Diego Nepi, Italian FA, Romanian FA, Swedish FA, Istituto Sant'Anna, European Commission for this important strong message on the environment topics that you are sending today and with your efforts in the last 2 years. I have 15 minutes. In these 15 minutes I will share my speech in 2 parts. The first part is to introduce you the football sustainability strategy of UEFA, and the second part will be I will take some highlights, some question for the audience on the life tackle. What I think about life tackle will be some part positive, but also some critical part, because I think that in this moment we need also to address some question marks and how to move on. You don't hear me?
Prova il gelato.
I'm not. Now? No. No? Better? Just a little. Okay. I take opportunity. I don't know if there is on the screen there is the presentation. I'm going with the first part to introduce the strategy, UEFA strategy. That is no. It's okay? Okay, now it's better. Okay. The strategy, we decided in UEFA 1 year ago to move, no, it's not the best, but I'm sorry, it's not my fault, to move with a football strategy on sustainability. We talk about 2030. 2030 means that is not a short-term investment. Is the sustainability linked to football is a long-term investment. This means that what we are doing today will not reach the goal tomorrow. We need time, but we need a clear vision. We divided our strategy in 11 points, like 11 players, with the 3 phases: inspiration, activation, and acceleration, plus targets and KPIs that for me are the key of the strategy. To have clear targets and to have clear KPIs. The first phase in the strategy is the inspiration phase. You need to know the context where you are. UEFA is a 55 national association. For this reason, the topics that we have in Malta are not the same that we have in Faroe Island. The topics in Sweden is not the same topics in Azerbaijan. For this reason, each strategy must to start from the context. Know the context. The second part is the fundamentals. What are the UEFA fundamentals? And one fundamental is also that we want to talk about sustainability in football. We don't want to save the planet. We cannot save the planet. We need to take our part in this process, in this journey, but we cannot take the care of everything happen in the worldwide area. This means that we focused our strategy on football, on the clear action, and then we will move to what will be the impact of football in the environment. I think that the sustainability is a topic that has to be addressed by the global institution, by the governments, with their action, their law, not from football. But we need to take our part. For this year we set our fundamentals, we create our mission, that is engage all the football stakeholders. That means the football association, that are our members, the clubs, that is very important part of the process, but not only professional clubs. This is my question on the tagline of the today meeting. We talk about professional footballs. I think that we need to talk about football, also amateur football. That is 99% of our football environment. But we need to involve also coaches, we need to involve the players, we need to involve also all the football stakeholders, and why not sponsors and partners that today are asking to be involved in this process. And then we have the part of our journey, the guiding principle. We need to refer our strategy to something that is linked strictly with the United Nations guidelines, European Commission guidelines, Council of Europe guidelines. We need to have some track. Then the second phase of the strategy is linked to action. We can inspire in first phase, but then we move to action. Action means to decide a strategic process. We set a strategic process that will be applied not only for UEFA, but can be applied for all the national associations, will be applied all for the clubs and all for football stakeholders. We are introducing two big important news in our system. First, will be mandatory for each national association in 2023 to have the strategy in place approved by the EXCO. For this reason, all the national associations have 1 year's time from today to approve the sustainability strategy. Of course, this is linked to the UEFA funds. If you will not have the strategy, you will not will be applied for the UEFA funds. The second part is something very, very new. We are starting to introduce the mandatory to have the FSR manager and FSR strategy at club levels. This means that all the clubs in 2 years that we apply for UEFA club licensing system must appoint the FSR manager and put in place one strategy. This means that in 2 years, 3 years, all the football ecosystem will have a community of more or less 300 social responsibility or sustainability manager. This is a great news. Then collaboration is the key. UEFA cannot act alone. One single association at the domestic level cannot act alone. We need to put all together in line to analyze what are the strategy, the global strategy, and to work together. The engagement of the stakeholders is growing. The UEFA partners are asking sustainability projects more than the classic advertising, and we are working with them to engage them in this process. And they are very happy to invest in the sustainability. For this is also a business opportunity. And the other is impact at all levels. We set 11 policies. That means 7 will be in human rights area and 4 are in environment areas. And I will go through only the 4 that in the environment areas today. In 5 areas of action. First is UEFA internal organization. This means that we need to lead by example. We need to engage all the 11 policies in our internal organization. The second is the UEFA members, our 55 national association, the UEFA stakeholders, the partners, and the football stakeholders. The third part is more important, is acceleration. Sorry if I rush just a little bit. Area and policies that I missed before. Each policy, each of 11 policies has the description, ambition, action, and targets and KPIs. This is clear in our strategy. We analyze what are the targets that we want to reach. We write what we want to reach. In this case, we need to reach them. And the last is from strategy to action. What are the next steps? We are putting in place the action plan in the next 6 months. We are creating what I told before, this the community on sustainability managers with one common process and one common language. Today, all the activities, I was talking before also with Marco, all the activities in our association and also in UEFA are in different areas. And this means that we need to create the division, and we did it in UEFA 1 year and a half ago, totally dedicated to sustainability. Now we have 11 persons that are working day by day in this process. And the common language means we need to talk with the same language. Because if someone go through different language, we cannot anymore create the base and the tool to show also that the UEFA is the biggest platform in the world that can achieve some results. And then guidelines and support to clubs and member associations, measurement and monitoring, it's the important part, and this is why we have to set the key performance indicators and to monitoring them, to analyze them, and to understand if we are going in the right direction. And the last is something very new, that is ESG criteria, that will be the perfect bridge between sustainability and financial strategy. This is very important for the future, the ESG criteria. Everything is in our link, in the UEFA website. You can find also the full strategy there. And this is the process that we have in place for 2030. Let's move now for 10 seconds on live takeoff to give some points to discuss in the coming speech. It's very important. Environment is a very important topic in the environment, in football. But we'll take our part, but we cannot do everything. Please don't ask to football to do what the global institution must to do. Please don't ask to football what the government must to do. We can take our part. And we don't want to talk about only professional football. We want to talk also amateur football. The French Football Federation set a kit for amateur club, first then going to professional club. To amateur club to say what are the minimum activities on the environment to protect the environment, because we have 3 levels. The awareness, and in this case I don't think that Live Tackle can give a big awareness in our community. We need to work with the global institution to push out these topics. The second is educational. We need to prepare a toolkit for the environment to try to push the young generation to take care of the environment. Of course, I talk about football players, young players. And third is actions. Awareness, football is, as I mentioned before, for me is the biggest platform in the world. We are million of football players. We are 92 million players in Europe, more or less the same numbers that we have of children that attended the schools. But we need to prepare easy message for our young generation. It's nice to talk about waste management, circular economy and others, but we need to address to our children something specific. European Commission, we are working with a large campaign that are going on TV now that it's linked where Buffon and Figo are the testimonial in the video. Every trick counts, that show that if each of us make a small attitude to switch off the line, to reduce the temperature at home, with the sum of the activities can create a positive impact. And the third is action. We need to transform a live tackle in actions. Because everything is nice when we write something. When we write a book, everything is nice in the book. We need to transform the live tackle in action plan. My advice is to be stronger in this process. We have no time enough. We need to push in clear targets and clear objectives, and we need to monitor in them. Now we have to switch from academic approach to concrete approach. This is the challenge and the objective that all of us, I think, that are today in this Congress, but also the people that are home and that will follow the meeting online, we need to move to action. Sustainability is an investment, is not a cost. This is the message that we are delivering to the National Association. This is the message that we are delivering with the clubs. We are in strong connection with ECA to plan activities on the environment at club levels. But we need also to engage the full and complete football ecosystem in this journey. But of course, this is the first step of a long process. For this is thanks Tiberio Daddi, where you are working also with Sant'Anna University in a new UEFA guidelines on the environment to support the new structure, the football infrastructure, to build in the best sustainability way. But my message is to thank you, all of you, but to say that it's time to move from nice speech, nice word, to concrete action. But remember that we are football. We cannot take care of everything that is happening in our worldwide. You can only one number. We have 1.1 billion persons that every year travel for tourism reason. This is only in our 26 countries in European Union. For this is, I think that if you are large to the 55 countries that are involved by UEFA, we can double this number. And we have the number of football is a very small part of them. We want to take our part, but don't ask football to save the planet. This is my message, and thanks, and I will be happy to follow the rest of the meeting that you have today, and thanks to organize, and thanks to Sport e Salute to host this important Congress today in Rome. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Michele Uva for his inspiring comments and presentation. I think he gave a lot of inputs for the discussion with Ernest in the late morning. But also, when you speak about the global institution, we will have also Peter Fischer from the European Commission. So, in somehow could provide also a feedback regarding this aspect. Regarding life table, now is my turn. I will give you a presentation regarding the objectives of life table. So, as you have seen in the agenda, the objective of my presentation is to provide you an overview of the key aims and action that we have adopted in Life Tackle. And then, after my speech, we will have the 3 national football associations that were partners of Life Tackle that will provide some details regarding the action that we have carried out. So what is Life Tackle? Life Tackle is an European funding program, co-funding actually. It's co-funded at 60%. It started at the end of 2018, and it has a duration of around 3 years and a half. At the end of this month, we'll end. As Sant'Anna, we are the lead applicant, as said before by Michele Uva, and we have other 7 partners. The 3 national football associations that will speak later, National Football Association from Italy, from Sweden, and from Romania. Then we have Euractiv, that is a media network based in Brussels that is in charge of the dissemination activity. We have ACR Plus, that is a network of cities and regions that supported with us, with Sant'Anna, the technical activity of the project. And then we have the waste management operators of the cities of Porto and of the cities of the city of Genoa, Lipor and Amiu, that follow the activity and the application of certain action in the 2 cities and in the stadium of Marassi and the Stadio Dragao. As I was saying in the opening of the speech of Michele Uva, UEFA has been, since the beginning, a promotion actor, a promoting entity of this project. Which were the key objectives in a snapshot? We have had 4 main objectives. First, operational objective. This objective was aimed to identify good practice in terms of environmental management of football event and infrastructure, and apply this practice in 11 selected stadiums. Then we have had a governance objective, where for governance we mean the organizational and management structure of football organization, and we have worked mainly with National Football Association. The third objective was aimed to raise the environmental awareness of football supporters. And then we have also a policy objective, as requested in this kind of project, in terms of try to improve the environmental policy of the European Commission in the field of sport. One of the first topics that we have worked on with Life Tackle is the assessment of the environmental impacts of football. It's clear that one organization starts a path to improve its environmental performance. It's better if he knows its starting point, if he knows what is the environmental impact of the activity and what are the activity with the highest environmental impact. At the beginning of the project, we have started to search this information in technical report, in scientific article, interviewing clubs, but only 4 years ago. Now probably the situation is different. Only few clubs have done this activity. So we have decided to do this exercise in the life table. So calculate or estimate the environmental impact of a football club. To do that, we have involved one of the club that was involved in life table, the Real Betis Balompié from Seville. We have used an instrument named life cycle assessment that is the most advanced instrument in terms of environmental impact assessment in this moment. And we have collected data for the season 2018-2019 in order to avoid the COVID impact on the environmental impact calculation. Here you can see some characteristics of the club in that season. For example, they had a huge average number of fans, around 43,000 per match. We have collected a wide spectrum of data, not only natural gas consumption, water consumption, and electricity. But for example, we have collected, thanks to the availability of Real Betis food and beverage distributed in the VIP area or in the bar and kiosk. We have collected how many shirts they distributed to the first male team, how many shirts they sold in the store as merchandising or staff mobility, so how many staff and people they move to away matches, or also fan mobilities and also other kind of mobility like talent scouts. These are the results of the impact for one football match. Naturally, these numbers are not clearly understandable. I will show you some slides later in order to better exchange. Only to tell you that the life cycle assessment allows us to calculate the environmental impact according 16 different environmental impact categories that you can see here listed. So to better understand this number and to better understand what it means, 70,000 kilo of CO2 emission, a first step is try to convert this impact category in a unique comparable unit of measure. In this table, you can see that according to our calculation, the climate change impact, so what is called as a carbon footprint, is the most important impact of a single football match. But it's not the unique. There are also other kind of impact like resource use or water scarcity, that is the water footprint that has a certain relevance. Naturally, for this kind of calculation, Real Betis is based in south of Spain, in Seville, so in somehow surely the irrigation needs are higher than other clubs in northern countries. Here you can see which are the main contributors to the environmental impact, to the environmental footprint of a single football match. So according to our data, the main contributor is mobility, then followed by energy consumption, and followed also by food and beverage with around 30% of the impact. Food and beverage coming naturally mainly, the impact coming naturally mainly from the VIP area, in specific the VIP area of Real Betis, if I'm not wrong, is around 1,400 guests that can host during a single football match. And this clearly, if a club wants to improve its performance, should start from, according to these results, these three kinds of impacts. Going in depth and try to understand better the main environmental impact of mobility, here you can see how is composed the impact of mobility. So around half of the impact is coming from the guest supporters that take flights. but we have also other impacts like talent scout, around 15% of the impact in terms of climate change impact, so in terms of carbon footprint, and so on. So what this number means, try to better understand the number of the carbon footprint and the water footprint that we have identified. We have tried to do some equivalence, and so, for example, the carbon footprint is equivalent to 600,000 kilometers done with an average car. Or, for example, the water footprint of a match is something like 26.5 times of filling in of an Olympic swimming pool. So it's a quite a relevant impact, I would say. Second group of activity, operational activity, we have collected the environmental practice that were already applied in previous events, also collecting experience from Olympic Games and other sports. And we have integrated this practice collected through, let's say, mainly desk research, through interview in stadiums that are particularly advanced, like Allianz Stadium of Juventus or Johan Cruyff Arena. And we have drafted a database of environmental practice in order to apply them during the project. This practice, resume and included in the guideline, have been applied in these 11 stadiums. 3 stadiums from Italy, Stadio Olimpico, where we are now, Marassi Stadium and Paolo Mazza in Ferrara, 2 stadiums from Romania, 2 stadiums from Sweden, and 4 stadiums that were not represented by National Football Association, like Benito Villamarín, already mentioned, Estadio do Dragão, King Baldwin in Belgium, and Aviva Stadium in Ireland. I don't have, naturally, the time to give you the detail of the action that we have applied. In this case, concrete action. I would say you can find as the guideline and in our website a deliverable, so a report that describes what we have done. But what we have done, we have worked on waste with the reusable caps in order to avoid single-use cap, with food donation. We have worked with the recycled and raw material. For example, here you can see a picture of SPAL that distributed choreographies, so little flag made with the recycled plastic during a match before COVID, during a match SPAL against Bologna, so a sort of derby for them. And then we have worked naturally on renewable resources. However, more than 30 different actions have been applied in the 11 stadiums involved. We have worked also on governance. In these slides, probably you can see what is written in the results of this survey with Football Manager, but please give a look to the green part of the left question and the red part of the right question. In the left question, we ask, are you applying operational practice, where for operational we mean waste management, water consumption, water reduction, and so on? And they answer quite positively. But speaking about governance practice, so practice aimed to improve the organizational and management structure of the club, they answer quite in a red way, let's say, quite negatively. It means that, as also Michele was mentioned before, we need a sort of maturation in terms of organizational structure and not only action applied. And so, for example, we have worked on the topic on roles and responsibility for an environmental manager, in a football club. So what we have done, we have drafted a document, for example, including, that is a job description, including which kind of activity they should cover, in our view, and according to the experience of the project, an environmental management of a club, or naturally we have carried out a training initiative in order to increase their knowledge to cover this role. Then we have also worked in terms of governance to other issues. Here you can see, for example, what again was mentioning before by Michele Uva, the collaboration with the football organization and sponsor, or we have worked on green criteria in the selection of suppliers, but you will have probably the opportunity to go in depth on with this aspect with the speakers that will follow my speech. Finally, and I'm going to conclude, awareness raising of fans. We have started asking to the fans what are their expectations in terms of green football, and here you can see positive answers. So about 80% of 1,400 interviewed supporters, they answer, I would like the football should take care of environmental protection like it takes care of other social aspects like racism and so on, or if a football will be more environmental friendly, I will be happier to attend it. So let's say their awareness is already high, but we have, however, carried out, thanks to the clubs and the National Football Association involved in the project, also activity like the use of banner in different 60 matches, but surely, again, the presentation of the National Football Association will give you more detail. Okay, thank you. Okay, now, as I was saying in my presentation, we will start with the presentation of the three National Football Association. According to the agenda, the first speaker is Gunsel Omer from the Swedish Football Association, that it is not physically present today, but he will give the presentation online. But I don't know how we can manage now.
So, can you hear me? Hello, everyone.
Yeah, Gunsel, we can hear you. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the floor. And my name is Gunsel Ömer. I'm the project manager on behalf of the Swedish FA in the project. And first of all, it's a bit of a shame that I can't be with you today in Rome. Apologies for that. But I'm very glad to see so many of you there, and thank you for the presentations so far. I want to see here, Tiberio, if the media team will show my presentation directly from there, or if I should share it myself.
Yeah, I can move. Tell me when I should move.
Yeah, if you can start the presentation, the first slides. I can't see it at the moment on the screen.
No, I see there the presentation, but not in the screen. Probably, Gunsel, is better if you share through Zoom the presentation.
If I share myself. Perfect. So let's see here, 1 second. Let's see here if we can. If I share now, possibly. Can you see the screen, possibly?
One moment. Can you put the Zoom screen? Okay, we can see. You can start. Thank you.
Perfect. So let's just see here if it moves. Your screen is sharing. Preview. And how do we switch? We're not using Zoom so much here in Sweden in our meeting, so I'll just see how we can change the slide. Maybe now it's changed?
Yes, it's changing. We are at the first slide.
Perfect. So, yeah, perfect. So the project experience, what I will be speaking here about to show you is, as Tiberio mentioned, we've done different initiatives to our stadiums, but also to our football movement here in Sweden, but also to our stakeholders. We're doing initiatives both internally at our own organization, but also towards our stakeholders. So today we're gonna present a little bit more about how have these been managed and what have we been doing. So starting off, just as an example, as we're finalizing at the moment a mapping of our own service departments at the FA to see how are we working continuously with the environmental issues at our headquarters? How can we change managerial duties to even make it better with the environmental and waste questions at our FA is one. We've created various documents such as energy and environmental policies for Swedish football, and to address number of areas with concrete goals on how to create measurements and tips for regarding water, transportation, heating, and equipment that is relevant for football organizations. Going towards that, we have also done activities with our stakeholders, such as partners and sponsors. I will be presenting in short, in quite time, something about what we call the advisory board that has been very successfully. And before going to that, what we have done more, we've had various of events, both on a national level and regional level. Coming to a national level, we've been gathering and welcoming in our regional football associations, but also partners and sponsors and partners to Stockholm to brainstorm ideas, but also to discuss topics such as environmental footprints, but how to manage stadiums and how we can improve it further. When we have regional levels, we tend to do it together with a football game where we invite municipalities of the regions, football clubs, sports federations as well, to show the knowledge and the experience that has been found by the Life Cycle project and how we can further evolve this. And as Tiberio mentioned, we've had different pilot stadiums in the project. From Sweden, we've had Friends Arena and Tele2 Arena, both located in Stockholm. And just change the slide here to speak more about them and give you a more brief look into the stadiums here. We have both of them located in Stockholm, but as Friends Arena, we have it in the northern part of the Stockholm, and Tele2 Arena in the southern part of the Stockholm. So what we have seen also is that the capacity is very different thing from this, but these are one of our biggest football stadiums in the country. Especially, they're not only supplied to football, but we can also have events in form of shows and concerts and fairs, which raises the capacity to up to 75,000 in the case of Friends, and in the case of Tele2, we can host up to 40,000. These are one of the most, when it comes to Friends Arena, it's described as one of the most modern multi-arenas coming to go Tele2. It's one of a very modern and sustainable arena as well. It has solar platforms on the roof of the top, and coming to the issue of the roof, both of them has an openable roof. So what this gives them the advantage is that they can have both events and football games throughout the year. And that's why it's very maintained, and it has a lot of activities going on throughout the year. And interesting enough is that also both of the arena is maximum 10 years old. They opened in 2012 and 2013 respectively. And similar to this is that they are both run and operated by a company called Stockholm Live, which was also the company that we planned our pilot test with for this project. And we decided to do this mainly when it comes to football games, due to that the sport we're focusing on is football, and both arenas are also applied for UEFA and FIFA games that are approved for this. However, we've had some challenging parts when doing the pilot test, mainly because of the pandemic. Some of the pilot tests were directly connected to when we have football games, such as reusable cups, when fans visit and buy drinks at the kiosks. But also, due to the pandemic, has hit hard on many companies. This is not just something unique for Sweden, it's all around the world. But the main part of, a big part of the personal resources at the Stockholm Life had to leave during the pandemic that we had, especially to 2020 and first half of 2021. So with that in mind, we still managed to carry out pilot tests and analysis One recently was the one we had with when it comes to the vegetarian menus at the stadiums. Stockholm Live, as it operates both arenas, they can implement the initiatives on both of the stadiums. So what we had was a vegetarian menu alternative to increase vegetarian menu sales and at the same time decrease the sale of red meat. And while 2020 we had barely no games with audience at all in Sweden. At the same time, it's interesting to mention that the footballing season in Sweden is over a calendar year, so we start in beginning of April and end late November, first week of December. So that was an issue as well. But comparing with 2019, the vegetarian menus that were sold in that year compared to the second half of 2021, we could see an increase of vegetarian menu sales due to it was also placed at the top of the menu list and also at the VIP and hospitality areas of the stadiums. So this has shown that the direction has gone in the right way. Another thing has been the removal of single plastic use made of expanded polystyrene. We could see at our national games just this last autumn that the plastic glass were changed to paper-made mugs, and at the same time the cutleries were made of were composable of wood waxed cutleries that are to take from to afford to the supporters that are buying food. And at the same time, we are closing in also on analysis study, an LCA analysis study of the maintenance of the natural turf at the Friends Arena to see various different strategies of how we can further, how do you say, manage the grass usage in a sustainable way, because there's a lot of football games played at the stadium, and it requires a high maintenance that is challenging for the environment. Leaving the stadiums, we're going to speaking a bit of the initiatives going towards our partners and sponsors, the external one that we've done. One of them was the advisor board, what we planned with all our top partners, where we invited them to meetings. This has been started in 2021. We had them digitally because of the pandemic, and where we invite them to discuss various topics with us, and we invite the sustainability manager of the top partners. And the objective is simply to see how we can engage them in collaborations together to implement sustainability initiatives in football, and also how to involve some of the initiatives that we already have. And here we have various discussions together with the sponsors and partners, where we discussed what does a sustainable partnership look like. How will everyone's sustainability work change after the pandemic has been other questions. And another one has been what does our common path look towards a sustainable society, and also climate smart activities for everyone's industry, because these partners are from different industries, and these discussions are already continuing. And one of the initiatives was the one that has also been implemented at the stadium, such as removing plastic usage as much as possible. And I can just give a quick example of what we've seen here at these meetings. We've had partners such as the Fabege, a real estate owner, owning the majority owner of the Friends Arena, that started to discuss the collaborations with Rexel, an energy partner of Sweden, to see how can we create and build more parking lots for electric cars around Friends Arena to reduce the cars that are going with petroleum or diesel, because we know that there are short roads and there's a big traffic jam all the time around after the games. And that's why that was an initiative coming up for them to collaborate and see together what they can do for the environment connected to the football games. And these meetings are, the ambition for this is that we will continue with these advisory boards even after the life cycle project ends. So this is one of the initiatives that will still continue and live on, and has received a great response from all the ones that are attending it. As we mentioned in the beginning, as Miguel also mentioned, there's one important part as the awareness towards supporters, and we also have this that we have carried out throughout the project, especially since when I came in the summer last year, we have even put on more focus on environmental awareness raising campaigns, not just only surveys, but we do interviews with supporters club. This one we in the middle we did together with our media partner Euractiv in the project, spreading messages and at the arenas, at the social media platforms that we have. We've also created designated websites for this project, but also environmental issues at the Swedish FA, and we can see that more questions are coming into us, that more people around us that are interested in discussing environmental impacts when it comes to football with us. Other things that we've done, we're doing campaigns with our national team players, communicating out the importance of environmental issue work, such as we focus on themes as sustainable mobility. As you know, many times when you use well-known faces of men and women's players, that can raise more inspiration to especially youth, but also fans that we have that want to follow the Swedish football. And just to show some numbers, I hope it is clear enough. When we look over the surveys that we've done with our supporters, we can see to the left that Swedish fans are well informed on how to carry out a separate collection, make use of public transportation. The green colors are implementing this, and this is also we can draw this connection to that. This is something that is compulsory and also something that is done quite often at our homes, and that we have good connections on many places when it comes to public transportation. It's not so much when it comes to recognizing products with sustainable packaging or recognizing third-party environmental certifications. When it comes to this, the communication campaigns aiming at increasing consumers' capacity to recognize sustainable products are fundamental in order to reward companies that are putting efforts to recycle materials and sustainable packaging. To the right, Tiberio before me showed a graph of showing how the expectations of the fans on environmental management by the world of football. This right picture here shows specifically for the Swedish fans that we have interviewed and asked to be part of our surveys. And as the first question, that football should take care of environmental protection the same way as it takes care of such as racism is quite the same. A big part of more than over 70%, 80% does agree to that it should take care of environmental protection as well. However, in Sweden, we can see that if a match is more environmental friendly, that I will be happy to attend it. Only if, it's less than 50% that is agreeing on this, which show that they will be going to the game. The most part of them will still go to the game anyway. And this suggests that policymakers should be taking appropriate measurements in order to propagate the significance of environmental management of football matches, to again erase and to communicate even further the good impacts and how the change can be looked at. Last picture of surveys is during a football match, the football fans in Sweden, they are very willing to adapt environmental behaviors. So these tests that we have been doing and the initiative that Stockholm Lives has carried out to their stadium and have implemented, it is well welcomed also from the fans. They are willing to avoid waste of food or water resources, collect and recycle litters and consumption. And as we saw a picture of the Spal Bologna game, where they had been doing gadget and choreographic material with low environmental impact, this is also something that the Swedish fans will want to be happier to buy and implement if we are selling it. So these are guidelines to show us also that if we introduce environmental impacts and alternatives to our stadium and games, the fans will follow. So the last one the last one there is say that use bikes or public transport to attend a football event. Well, this is something that although we have good connection, not everyone is living close by to a big stadium to watch games. Some people need to take maybe the car and because the comfort issue, it can be that the connection sometimes is not the best at the night time. So these are different aspects coming into the results that we have been able to collect and analyze. And my last slide here is about the future and the outcomes that we have of the project. So what do we gain from being part of Life Tackle, and what do we see for the future? Well, it definitely has boosted the environmental work of the Football Association here in Sweden. We have been part of new projects. We are moving forward in the works at doing more initiatives, both internally to see over our own structure and the organization, how we can be improved, but also towards our own football movement, to our other clubs. We're in contact with the elite clubs, but also to our grassroots clubs to share policies and information leaflets on how they can evolve their organizations. And what all these initiatives does, that it gives us increased knowledge in this topic. As Tiberi also mentioned, we had the training seminars last spring for the staff at the Swedish FA. This is also a way of increasing the knowledge, sharing experience and knowledge with other partners and sponsors is the way. And these all things leads to development, because we are collaborating even more, we're discussing this even more. And from some of the initiatives that we have showed here, but also that we have in project that we have carried out in the frame of Life Tackle project, many of them will continue after the project has ended as well. Finally, connected to the pilot test and stadium that has been done in all stadiums that has been involved in the project, we can see new practices, new efficient and smart solutions for the climate, but also the governance of the and maintaining the football games. And this is something that is a win-win situation for everyone, of the environment, but also for the ones that are hosting football games, as us as an organization as well. For us, it's collecting feedback on what we're doing. We're collaborating even more, so we learn all the time. So I can comfortable say that we're better than yesterday. So we've been very proud to be part of this project, to learn from other organizations, and we hope that other organizations have learned from us. And again, I thank you very much for the time here to present what we have done, generally what we have done in the project. And again, thank you everybody for attending our conference today.
Thank you, Gunsel, also for these last words, and thank you naturally also to you for your contribution to the project. So let's go on. Now is the turn of Barbara Moschini of Italian Football Association, that similar to Gunsel will show the activity done in Italy by the National Football Association.
So thank Tiberio for the introduction. Thanks to all of you for attending this event. I introduce myself. My name is Barbara Moschini. I work at the Italian Football Association, and I'm in charge of projects co-financing from the European Commission. Today we are just a few slides for presenting you the results and the goals of Tackle projects that we reached at the end of 3 year and a half together with our partners. And I would like just to start talking about why the... Okay, thank you. So I would like just to start telling why the Italian Football Association was interested in being part of this project that has been supported by UEFA, and we put in touch all the partners, and why a project on environmental sustainability in football. But simply because football family is aware of the impact of football not just because our priority on the agenda at international level of United Nations, European Commission, and in FIFA and UEFA referring the football environment, but because we are completely aware about the consumption and the collection of waste, or the energy and water managing. So the improving awareness about not just the football association, but international organization, clubs, stadium manager, and players that are key actors, we decide to be part of this project. So we started analyzing the governance at the FA. So the environmental governance at the beginning, I have to say that the FA, we have an external assistance since many years that helps our procurement office for the procurements in general. And we organized webinars thanks to Sant'Anna researchers with our employee involved in environment matters, but even communications, procurement, and other area. So we organize a lot of interviews with our head of departments involved directly or indirectly on the environmental management. And last but not least, we organize a documental assessment of the management of our technical center based in Coverciano, that is in Florence, that welcomes our national teams. And we saw with the Sant'Anna researchers that our technical center is really close for asking the certification. And we involve our stakeholders. We start with the manager of our stadium from the professional league, so the first and second division, were asked to fill in a survey just to have a kind of general picture of our stadia in Italy. But at the beginning, as Tiberio Daddi told, we were interested to involve the directly actors of the project, so the stadia. And regarding the football association, we identified the Stadio Olimpico, with which we have a long experience of working together. And with the researchers of Sant'Anna, we did a lot of interviews with the manager who managed the Parco del Foro Italico. And were identified different actions that could be implemented. Not all of this was possible to implement it, but today I would like just to focus on one in particular, that is the collection and the use of water coming from the roof of the stadium. In particular, as Football Association, thanks to Tackle project, we took a researcher, an engineer, Mr. Preter, that I take the opportunity to thank him. Unfortunately, he's not here today, he's in Malawi for another project. And he did an analysis of the possibility to use water coming from the roof and from the athletic piste and to reuse. How it was possible? Just to show that the sustainable use of water sporting events could be reduced from the public suppliers. And the study was conducted through inspection that we did directly at the stadium, the Parco del Foro Italico, through interviews with the manager and the geologist and the people that are managing all the green area of Parco del Foro Italico, that is not just the pitch, and bibliography research where we missed data. So we received a very detailed report lately because the project, unfortunately, is ending. So the different proposals that we received, the engineer suggests us to take into consideration the most suitable, the second one, that is take the use of meteoric water coming from the roof, as I told before, and the previous storage, because it's very high, the roof, so we have to be storage, and to keep it when you need, according to needs, and managing reverse osmosis. That is a kind of just for cleaning water, just for be simply. So at the end, the study shows that replacing public water supplies is possible. We found alternative sources that are environmentally sustainable and economically convenient. But talking about the EFA actions on the projects, it's quite impossible to resume 3 years and a half, so I just pick the few of these actions regarding, for example, our actors, our players from the A national team, that they were proactive towards the project. I have to thank them again. And during the national team call, for example, in Coverciano, our technical center, we start and we try to increase the awareness of public media and our stakeholders being the technical center with panels that you find the same one at the entrance of the event of today. We, for example, we organize with our business area and our commercial partner Lete, we placed an eco-compactor close to the dressing rooms of the A national team. So that's our head coach Mancini and our few players. They film it and then they took pictures. So it's again a help that we had from the A national team. But the awareness raising campaign just last year, because unfortunately, as you know, caused the pandemic, it was not possible to implement all the actions regarding the deadlines that we had at the beginning. So that's why we had 6 months plus from the European Commission to our project. So we implemented different actions in a Stadio that hosted the Italian team in Parma, Cagliari, Bologna, Florence, Reggio Emilia, and Rome lately in last year. And the social campaign was just social media campaign, so on the social media, the graphics that you can see on the giant screen, and the speaker message that was explaining the campaign that the Football Association was supporting. And the professional leagues that I thanks again, they share our content in terms of news on social media, and we put the news on our institutional website. Thanks again to the women division that they were part of the project, because they share the messages that we spread through banners that we live in Turin and Milan during the Coppa Italia, the semi-final of Coppa Italia last April. And the clubs, they would like to keep the banners with them all the year. And even the players that they were at disposal for sharing social media posts that we did for women, for players, and women and men. So the dissemination campaign went on until the last match that we played with a national team in November with Switzerland, and again we propose our graphics on the giant screen and the same format. We, in the same occasion, we had the possibility to organize the second survey with other supporters. We did at the beginning of the project, so we did in 2019. More than 500 interviews at the entrance of the Stadio Olimpico, thanks to Daniela Drago and his staff in his office. And the second one, it was at the end of the project, just to have a picture at the beginning and at the end of the project. So again, we involve our partners that were our supporters that were just asked to fill in questionnaire at the entrance of the match. And again, we did the same with the clubs. In the first interview in 2019, we involved clubs Roma and Lazio. In the last survey, just Lazio, because we arrived a huge amount of numbers of questionnaires that were enough. So these are pictures of our volunteers from Sant'Anna, identified by Sant'Anna, that went to the Stadio Olimpico to collect the interview by questionnaire, and the little gadget that we prepare. We have the same at the exit, and that's other stakeholders that we involved. That are the first one that we involved, our women players from the national team, and Sirigu. So Elena Linari from the national team, Salvatore Sirigu, that they were available for recording a message that we spread to at the stadium. Another action that we organized as local dissemination last June during the opening of Casa Azzurri, that is the headquarters for our supporters, stakeholders, during the final organization of European or World Championship. In this case, it was the Euro 2020. We organized in an area dedicated extremely for workshop on sustainability. So that was the occasion for Life Tackle to be known more by our stakeholders, and our commercial partners, they were with us. So we invited Lete and need to be with her. We just share our experience, and other external stakeholders were welcome. This is one of the news that we published referring the stand with a hostess that could give information about the Life Tackle project inside Casa Azzurri. And on the other side we can see a picture, I'm sorry, that the head of the European Commission delegation in Rome, in Italy, has gone. So it was here Antonio Parenti, who signed with our president Gabriele Gravina an institutional agreement with the European Commission based in Rome. So for events like this one or other events organized by the European Commission on same goals, on same area, we have 1 year of this according. But Life Tackle project has another part of the action that will be the dissemination. So I have to say that close to pandemic, I took personally part to different events like panels, international events online, and this is just the last one that we organized with our commission, the sport manager training course, just to form the manager, the sport manager at the FA Commission. I was there with Professor Daddi to have a meeting with the manager of the night, so it was 2 hours just to start talking about sustainability to our sports managers as well. The European Parliament decided to award the Life Tackle project with other 4 projects this year. So we won the social media campaign. We're recording a video here at the Olympic Stadium with Mr. Daddi. And the last thing that we did, we took part for Orizzonti d'Europa, that is a program on Rai 3, and it's Rai Parliament who identify us for our project, and they would like to talk about our experience. So what about our projects? Legacy, it's important in every field, but I have to say for Life Tackle projects, one of the thing that I would like to just underline, it could be an initiative like this one, a simple one. We settle in the 3 different each in Rome, so in Via Po, Via Allegri, and Via Campagna, 3 different bins, cap bins, with our partner Amuse, that they are here with us today. That is an association working in the area in which the FA is based. So it would be possible to collect the cups of bottles, or plastic bottles, and yet Amuse will come to pick it up and to give the income to Caritas, that is based inside Villa Glory, that is in the same area of our football association. I have to say, in the picture on the right side, I put the picture with the teca, the bin, 2 days ago, and last night I was informed that it was full. So I went down to take a picture, and our vice secretary was putting the last cup inside. So I put him in the picture. So I was thinking about legacy. So not just one bins for cups, but an important action has been. We are providing a chart thanks to Sant'Anna, who suggests us to start this path together with our stakeholders and with all the football family. That's we invited all our professional leagues, our amateurs leagues, the football and player associations, all the technical area. So all our stakeholders are represented, more of them the commercial partner as well. And we had 3 different meetings online, unfortunately for this period. So we drafted a chart regarding all the guidelines, but the principle that we can use for having a more sustainable governance in our different entities. So later you will have more details talking about the chart. And I would like to thank you to all of you for being today here. So thanks to the colleagues that we invited, because they were part of the projects, and to all of you, to Sport e Salute for welcoming us today, and to Sant'Anna and UEFA for their support along 3.5 years. Thanks indeed.
Thank you, Barbara, not only for this speech, but for your effective contribute and enthusiasm you put in this project in these 3 years. So let's go on with the Romanian Football Association to describe the experience of life tackle in Romania. We have Florin Shari that will provide his speech. Thank you, Florin. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I know it's not the happiest moment of our project. It's the last moment of our project. So when I'm looking back at when the project began in 2018 and at what brought the Romanian Football Federation in tackle, I see that tackle truly made a difference. For a few reasons. In 2018, Romania, or the Romanian Football Federation, was preparing to organize the Euro 2020 in Bucharest, the most important sports event in the history of my country. There has never been, and I hope there will be soon in the future, something as big as the Euro. Yeah? Two processes were running during 2018 when we started tackle. The first process was the process of organizing Euro 2020, and we anchored tackle with Euro 2020 in Romania. And the process of development and modernization of the Romanian Football Federation and of course of the Romanian football. Yeah, we tried with tackle to make these two circles meet. And when I say that tackle was for the Romanian Football Federation priority, I can give you the people who were in the tackle team, yeah? It was our General Secretary, me as head of Euro 2020 and head of our finances. These were the three people that were actively involved in tackle, yeah, and also actively involved in the two processes that I was talking about earlier, the modernization of the federation and of the phenomenon, and the organization of Euro 2020 in Romania. Some indicators about the environment of football in Romania, and about European projects so that we can see better why tackle made a difference. We were in full process of development. Yeah, this means that we started at approximately 100,000 people playing football in Romania. And last year, before the pandemic, 2 years ago, before the pandemic, we were at 300,000 people playing football in Romania, registered players. Yeah. As a result of the social return on investment research that we did with the support of UEFA and the European Council, we also were able to calculate the economical impact of people playing football in Romania, and it is of about now 800 million euro. Yeah, so alone grassroots football and people's involvement in football generate approximately 800 million euro. Social return on investment in Romania. Euro 2020, it was the ambition for us to have the best Euro possible in Romania, yeah? Lucky us, we did it because of the match Switzerland against France, yeah? People said it was the best match of the Euro. I know you do not speak about the best match of Euro in Roma, because of course Italy won the Euro, so the best match was the final. But still, we are proud that we hosted an excellent Euro. What was the reason that Euro 2020 was so important for us and tackle was so important in this context? The fact that Euro 2020 was projected by us to trigger a further and more spectacular development, not only of the football phenomenon, yeah, but also of football environment in the country. When I say football environment, I give you some indicators. The Romanian government rebuilt 3 stadia. It is currently building 150 football facilities, sports facilities based on regular football pitches, another 100 small-sided pitches. 1 airport was renovated in Bucharest, and a connection to the other airport, to the city center, was built. Yeah? So one can imagine that it was truly a very complex project even for the Romanian government, for the Romanian authorities. We wanted to make sure that these developments are also going the right way. When I say the right way, now from the perspective of sustainability, we wanted to make sure that those developments will serve to the future. Yeah? It's going to be not only developments that are created for meeting one single demand of one single event, but to meet the demands of the future. And now, regarding the involvement of the Romanian Football Federation in Euro 2020, in tackle. Based on Euro 2020, we chose two stadia in Bucharest and in the vicinity of Bucharest, the National Arena, the main stadium where we played the 4 matches, and Voluntari, Anghel Iordănescu Stadium. It was the training facility for the Ukrainian national team. Why did we choose the two stadia? Because they were close enough, part of Euro 2020, close enough to be manageable, but also very differently in terms of infrastructure. Yeah, we had the most developed and most modern stadium in Romania, the National Arena, but on the other hand, we had the first league stadium in Voluntari that was also very attractive in terms of seeing how owners of stadia are managing their sustainability approach. Concretely, we had 3 places where we took action, yeah? The two stadia and the Romanian Football Federation. In the National Arena, we also did the, let's say, conventional activities, yeah? We made an assessment of the activities of the stadium, even in the beginning, already in the beginning of the project. We made a very little and very successful action of trying to replace plastic cups and paper cups with reusable cups with the support of one of our sponsors, of Penny. It worked very well. We distributed like 20,000 cups. We also tried to see if it's possible that the National Arena is recycling the chairs, the plastic chairs, and if plastic chairs can be replaced with recycled chairs. One aspect that I wanted to talk about regarding sustainability is that you need to have an understanding of what sustainability means and to have an integrated and organic approach. Yeah? If you only check some list of points, this doesn't mean that you have done sustainability. Yeah? So understanding much better in the course of the project what sustainability means, we were able to make the decision makers, to convince the decision makers of the National Arena, for instance, when they modernized the floodlight to replace the regular tungsten bulbs with LED. Yeah? Why? Because actually, when you talk about sustainability, you need to look at the complete circle. Yeah? How energy is generated, how energy is transferred, and how energy is put in use. Yeah? And we looked at the critical systems of a stadium and found out that actually the floodlight is one of the biggest consumers. Yeah? So it was very easy, by replacing the floodlight with LED lights, it was very easy for us actually to generate a multiple impact on, positive impact on the environment. So additionally to what we did regarding the objectives of and the activities of tackle, we also were able to convince the owner of the stadium to replace elements of, I say the floodlight, but there were several other infrastructure elements with more modern and less consuming equipment. In terms of Voluntari Stadium, the main activity that we did was to support them in producing a feasibility study for the installation of renewables on the new tribune that they will build a new VIP tribune, and they will put on the roof of this tribune renewables. There were some aspects that we took into consideration. Some of the aspects were that actually Voluntari is doing some good work in terms of sustainability. So they are collecting separately waste and also disposing waste separately, or recycling paper, for instance. They are using and reusing water. And in general, they are trying their best to reduce their environmental impact. And adding the renewables on the roof and making possible to use this energy to heat water, for instance, or to make light in the stadium, in the changing rooms, this is a big advantage for them. The third place where we were doing activities in tackle was the Romanian Football Federation itself, yeah, in terms of governance and in terms of education of staff. The green procurement concept has been already mentioned, but we also were part of the educational projects, and staff from the procurement department was also educated to make use of the concept of green procurement. Public relations, advocacy, and public communication was also an important element of our involvement in tackle. Why? Again, I'm coming back to Euro 2020 and the 3 new stadia, the 150 football and sports facilities, the 100 football pitches. We wanted to make sure, as I previously said, that they are built for tomorrow, not only for today. So in the discussion with the public authorities responsible for building the new stadia and building the new football facilities, we were able to convince them to look into the future, yeah? All of the 3 new stadia and all of the stadia that will be built in the future in Romania will be equipped by default with LED floodlight, 1/3 the consumption of a regular floodlight, yeah? With renewables on the roofs and also with hybrid pitches. One of the most important element when you talk about the pitch is the lifespan of the pitch, yeah? The longer the pitch is viable, the less pollution it generates. Why? Because you cannot dispose of the grass that is in the old pitch, yeah? The old pitch is that polluted that actually you are you have a big issue with recycling a pitch, yeah? So using hybrid pitches with a lifespan of 5 years compared to a natural pitch with a lifespan of approximately 1 year, you already generate a positive impact on environment. Again, when we spoke about the 150 sports facilities and the 100 small-sided pitches, they are all equipped with LED floodlight, and they are all equipped with renewables on the roofs of the changing rooms. Of course, one can open the discussion about the synthetic, the artificial turf and the microplastics. Currently, all of those pitches will be equipped with artificial pitch with microplastics. But it is estimated that the lifespan of those pitches is of approximately 6 years, so we will be ready when there will be another technology available to replace them with proper technology, yeah? Currently, unfortunately, there is no other viable technology in terms of artificial pitches to replace the microplastics. In terms of public communication and the engagement of spectators and of football players in sustainability, we are talking in the football family about the spectator journey, yeah? You are, in a way or another, responsible for the face of the spectator as long as he lives or she lives the house, the flat where she or he lives, and comes to the football match, attends the football match, and then leaves the football match. We were trying, and we have now the understanding in the Romanian Football Federation, based on the experience of tackle, to make this journey also more sustainable, yeah? One concept is, of course, the public transport. The public transport opportunities for people coming to matches, yeah? So as many spectators as possible, we are now expecting to use public transport. Of course, it's it's a little complicated, and we are still struggling. We are still struggling to make our institutional partners, our stakeholders, understand what possibilities we have in terms of switching from private car use to public transportation. In a city, unfortunately, like Bucharest, this is a great challenge, yeah? And this is also an opportunity for future European funded projects. But we were able, by the public communication that we had, by the public affairs activities, and by the engagement of funds, we were able at least to open the minds of people for a better approach in terms of sustainability of transport, yeah? And I hope to see in the future also better results. In terms of public communication, we were able already to reach at least 5 million people, because we also used the matches of the national team of last year to put on the LED screens the tackle advertising. Yeah, we had for every match last year approximately 30 seconds available for LED projections. We also organized a very nice dissemination event in the beginning of February, and with good participation and also with good ideas that we brought from this dissemination event. One of the ideas that we kept in mind and probably will use in the future is that actually the preoccupation for modernization of sports infrastructure is a preoccupation of the European Commission already. So national authorities and owners, public owners of stadia have the possibility to use European money to modernize sports infrastructure. And if you take into consideration that before this Euro 2020 projects, before the wave of stadia that were built in the time frame of Euro 2020, lucky us, Bucharest inspired several other municipalities in Romania to build new stadia, yeah? But before 2020, the last important wave of building stadia in Romania was around 1970, 1975. So one can imagine that there is a good opportunity, there is a good chance for us to modernize and to rebuild sports infrastructure in the country with European funds and looking into the future. This is what I wanted to bring in the meeting of today about our experience related to tackle project. Yeah, so for us, for the Romanian Football Federation, it was one of the central projects. It was able to help us meet the demands of two of our most important projects, the modernization and development of the organization and of the phenomenon, but also the organization in Bucharest of Euro 2020. In this respect, at least this is our conclusion, it could have been no better than having tackle as an instrument to support us. And I take now the opportunity also, of course, to thank all my colleagues in the project, because it was a teamwork, and learning from your experiences, learning from your knowledge and wisdom, Tiberio and I don't use great words only to use great words. We were able to be better in those activities, in those projects that we had running, yeah. We had running at the same time with tackle. So it really met the demand of development, and yeah, we are happy for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Florin, also in name of all partners of Life Tackle for your active participation in our project. So, last speech before the coffee break, we should have Peter Fischer connected online. Peter is the chair of Green Sport expert group of the European Commission that will provide his view regarding green sport and the activity of the expert group.
Do you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Hello, Peter, and welcome.
Yes, thank you, Tiberio, for inviting me, and thank you for the already very interesting testimonials that I could witness this morning. I also look forward to the discussions you will have later on, and perhaps before I talk about the work of the Green Sport Expert Group, what I would like to hear from the experts in the panel is what are some of the ideas, policies, or best practices that are most easily transferable to other clubs, perhaps even at grassroots level, although I understand this was more for the professional football world. But what are the most efficient tools that you've worked on, shared, and which are most easily transferable, or where are perhaps some challenges? Now, let me focus on what you've asked me to talk about, and that is the work of the Green Sport Expert Group of the European Commission. I work as a policy officer in the sport unit of DG EAC, and the EU Work Plan for Sport sets out the work of the Green Sport Expert Group. Well, we have until the end of 2023 to come up with a common framework with recommendations for sustainable sport in Europe. That's what we're tasked to do as mandated by the EU Work Plan for Sport. Now, what are we doing and what does it mean? So we are collecting good practices, policies, initiatives in the world of sport, which will serve to identify in a report recommendations that will hopefully be endorsed by all member states. Now, how do we go about this? We've met 4 times so far, and the experts agreed to divide the work into 5 chapters, if you will. I briefly mentioned them. The first chapter is sustainable sport infrastructure, and we've just heard from Florian indeed that EU funds can be made available at least for the renovation to make existing infrastructure more sustainable. So that's something to look out for, and that's what we're also promoting towards the managing authorities that manage these funds. So sport infrastructure, existing sport infrastructure, but also, of course, how to manage and run existing sport infrastructures, and obviously things like making use of renewable energies is one of the things that we're talking about here. But then, of course, we have another chapter related to the organization of sport events. And we are covering here all types of events, major sport events, but also smaller events, because the big international events and the federation that are behind this organization, or the organization of these activities, they tend to have sustainability strategies, as we've heard earlier this morning from Michele from UEFA. But we are also looking at, actions and activities that are transferable to, let's say, grassroots sports or smaller actors who are organizing sport events. Now, a third chapter we're looking at is what we're calling cross-sectoral innovative solutions in the field of sport. And here we're looking at all the clever initiatives that help to mitigate the negative impact of sport on the climate, on the environment and biodiversity. So among the issues we're looking at here is also the role the sporting goods industry plays, and how, for instance, consumers can perhaps speed up the transition to more sustainable production methods, and also towards a circular economy in this field. Now, the fourth chapter we are addressing is how to spread these good practices, how to build the necessary capacities in the sports world, in the among the sport movement's players, but also in the that the wider audience understands how, as an individual, you can make more climate-friendly choices. And so we're looking at initiatives where perhaps athletes are using their profile to promote greener and more sustainable behavior. We're looking at spreading the word, and we heard from UEFA this morning that as the Commission, we've teamed up with UEFA to promote the European Green Deal, which is underpinning all these efforts we're doing also in the field of sport. But it's also about building the necessary capacities at senior management, ideally, so that you have sustainability officers or sustainability managers in the sports organizations. So it's also a question of building up the skills and expertise in sports organizations. And finally, and last but not least, we will be looking at the contribution the sport movement could make or can make towards the climate pledge, the climate pact. These are the initiatives that will help make the Green Deal a reality at local and regional level, where local initiatives are promoted and will help citizens buying into the new ways of doing business and also in this case doing sport. Now, who is part of this expert group? The official members are the representatives of the member states. So we have 27 member states represented, typically by colleagues working in sport ministries. But of course, this work needs also the input from the practitioners, from members of the sport movement, and therefore we have many observers from the sport movement represented. We have the likes of UEFA, but also FIFA. We have the international federations of motorsport and motorcycling associations, but we have also the director of the European Environmental Agency as observer and in a way advisor to this group, and also the UN Climate Secretariat is represented in this group. And in addition, we have, of course, also NGOs representing the outdoor sport and even sporting goods federations. And I should not fail to mention, of course, also the European Olympic Committee, which is represented through its European office, which is based in Brussels. Now, where are we now? As I mentioned earlier, we've had 4 meetings to date, and we're still in the phase of collecting good practices. In some areas, we've made more progress than in others, but we are still open and interested in learning from others, which is also one of the reasons, or perhaps the primary reason why I'm here today, because I've heard about live tackle, and I was curious to hear from you what your findings are. And I will, now that the project has come to an end, will follow this up also bilaterally with Tiberio to see which of the results the project achieved can possibly feed into the work of the expert group. Now, I'm slowly coming to a close of my talk here and want to mention some of the challenges we're facing. The first challenge was to map the good practices that already exist, because of course this expert group's not the first attempt to map good sport practices, but it's still work in progress, and as I mentioned, we are I'm happy to receive input from sports stakeholders that have interesting good practices to share. Now, we would also be interested in learning more about tools which are easily accessible also to perhaps smaller clubs or grassroots sports organizations as regards the calculation of the carbon footprint and environmental impact assessments, including also the impact on biodiversity. So what are the tools that are proven to be user-friendly and easily accessible even to people who may not yet have a very in-depth knowledge of sustainability policies in that area? And as I mentioned in the beginning of my talk, I would be curious to hear if there's some of the results the project achieved are more easily transferable and are likely to have a bigger impact if others adopted those measures than some of the other things you've talked about or achieved. With that, I'm happy to wrap up, and if there are any questions, I'm still here for a moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, for your speech. As you know, we are more than happy to collaborate with you in order to assess how our results can be transferred or can be used by your expert group, since, as I was saying in my speech, try to contribute on the development of environmental policy in sport is one of our aim. Okay. I think that now we can close here the first part of speeches, and we can have the coffee break. So we will meet here again in 15 minutes, so at 10 to 12. Thank you. Please, have a seat.
Posso mettere accanto a te?
Ah, voglia. Nicolò, vieni, mettiti in mezzo ai boss.
Nicolò al centro perché deve parlare tutto, io faccio veramente una frase e me ne vado, cioè rimango qui.
Infatti, così ci siamo un paio di foto insieme.
È vero, che cosa siamo? Ma ci si può togliere la maschera? No.
Fotografo.
Così.
Sì, chiamali. Okay, one minute and we start. Okay, welcome back after the coffee break. In this second part of presentation, we will discuss about the Charter on Environmental Sustainability in Italian Football. That is one of the governance action of the project. So we have a first speech from Barbara Moschini of Italian Football Association and Niccolò Todaro from Scuola Superiore Sant'Anna.
Thanks again for your introduction. As you mentioned, we are now talking about the chart. So no, I have no presentation. So I have to say that the Italian Football Association has slowly been really aware of the importance of sustainability. So just starting from the reports that we published in the past 10 years on sustainability, it's just one of the witness that we are really aware about that. And that's why we accepted the invitation coming from Sant'Anna to draft together with our stakeholders and the football families a chart talking about the different activities that we could share with our partners, all the activities and the good practice that we collected during these 3.5 years of projects, but above all, we firmly believed in this project, and it could be a pity to stop and to finish the project without leaving a legacy. So that's why we would like to find a continuity to the part that we start with our stakeholders, with the football families. And so the simple way to find a legacy, it was just to invite our supporters to draft together this chart. We did different meetings, online meeting, and we draft a chart that will be published in a second moment when we invite our clubs. And why? Because the goal and our purpose is to to share experience with our stakeholders and reduce the environmental impact of football. So thanks to Nicola, who will explain in detail how is organized the chart. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. So good morning, everybody. I will take 5 to 10 minutes to go through the content, let's say, of the chart on environmental sustainability in Italian football. I don't know if you can project the slides. So first of all, I would like to thank all the... Okay. Thank you. So first of all, I would like to thank again all the organizations that took part in this initiative. So the signatory organizations like Lega Nazionale Serie A, Lega Nazionale Serie B, Lega Pro, Lega Nazionale Dilettanti, Associazione Italiana Calciatori, Associazione Italiana Allenatori di Calcio, but also the partners that contributed to the development of this initiative and let's say, defining all the guidelines and the actions that are included in the chart. So, Scuola Superiore Sant'Anna, ENI, Acqualete, Coripet, Sport and Salute. So in devising the chart, we decided to adopt a holistic approach, let's say, not only to the content of the chart, but also concerning the organizations that are addressed by the chart. So the chart is open to all kinds of football organizations, from clubs to leagues to stadium managers and owners and to associations and beyond. As far as concerns the chart, the content of the chart, as we have discussed today, sustainability in football is a very complex concept. The football world is a very complex system. So we decided to divide the chart in 5 different sections that somehow represent also the topics and what we have learned from the tackle project. So the chart is divided in 5 sections from stadium and sport facility management, so the principles and actions that concern stadium management, event management, so principles and actions that concern how the football event is designed and deployed and implemented. From conceptions to closure, basically. Stakeholder engagement and partnerships is another fundamental aspect, and supporters engagement, and another very important topic that we decided to tackle is the environmental governance of football organizations, so those organizational aspects. So we'll go a little bit in detail of all the sections, what are the topics that are covered. Every section, as I said, is divided between principles, so we set forth a set of principles on how we think football organization should look like, so should tackle these 5 areas of their activities. And then we propose a set of actions, so specific and very practical actions. Of course, as I said, since the chart is addressed to very different football organizations, we tried to strike a balance between practicality, let's say, we try to be the most practical as possible, but also the most general in some way as possible. So we propose action that could be applied by all kinds of football organizations, so from clubs to associations, leagues, and so on. So when we talk about governance, we refer to all those organizational practices that concern how football organizations are organized and how they manage their activities. So when we talk about environmental governance, we refer to practice that somehow improve their management capabilities in relation with environmental sustainability. And what we say is that the governance of football organization must guarantee responsibility and transparency, the substantial integration of sustainability objectives in their strategies, and the continuous organizational learning and continuous improvement of environmental performance. So in this regard, the actions that we propose is that the organization define responsibilities and the roles within the organizational chart, so who should target, who should address environmental aspects of their initiatives. They deploy methods to assess the environmental performance in a scientific and reliable way, and they define environmental policies. These are just some examples on the content of the chart in this regard. The second section concerns stadium management, so all those aspects that relate to the organization of the football event. As you know, there are a lot of actors that come together and collaborate in the organization of football events, from clubs to suppliers to stadium managers and so on. What we say is that basically the stadiums and the sports centers that are the home of the football event, so all the activities basically take place, should be designed by respecting the environment, so eco-design techniques should be implied in the conception of stadiums, and they should be built through the use of sustainable materials. So they should be as much efficient as possible in a way to reduce consumption of energy and natural resources, and most important of all, I would say they should be intelligently, so smartly integrating into the local urban context. A few examples of actions. There exist a lot of eco-design principles and guidelines on how to maintain the stadiums in a sustainable way, on how to design a stadium in a sustainable way. Then also we talked about this morning about electricity consumption practices that can reduce the consumption of the stadium, and also other practices that concern, for instance, the use of recycled and recyclable materials in infrastructures. Talking about the event management sections, as I said, this section concern the aspects that the activities and operational processes that come together during the event. And we also deployed an environmental, a life cycle perspective. So we consider all the stages of the event from the planning to the closure. The management of football events, according to the chart, must aim at preventing and reducing waste in the use of resources throughout the life cycle of the event, in preventing, reducing, and correctly managing waste from the services that are provided in the frame of the event. So we talk about catering, merchandising, and so on. And then football organizations should try to stimulate environmental friendly behaviors of the people that attend the event, so fans, supporters, game goers, and so on. As an example of action in this section, it's very important trying to facilitate environmental friendly mobility patterns and means of transportations for supporters that attend the event. Okay. The stakeholder engagement and partnership section basically considers that the football sector, as I said, is a system that is composed by a wide range of stakeholders. The value chain of the football is very complex. And so football organizations should aim at fostering collaborations with the stakeholders that are very diverse, from the civil society to industry, in a way to promote environmental sustainability in the football sectors. So they should try to broaden areas of collaborations in case the collaboration are already existing with business partners, for instance, but also civil society on the issue of environmental sustainability. And most importantly, they should also try to weave a relationship with the local communities in order to promote basically the sustainability in the local areas in a way to try to reduce also those that are the negative externalities of football events in the surrounding areas of the stadium. In this regard, football organizations, some examples of actions we have seen, for instance, today, Gunsers from the Swedish FA talk about the advisory board, so all those activities that concern involving stakeholders like industrial partners and so on in devising sustainability projects. So the last sections concern specifically a specific stakeholder, which are supporters. Supporters as a primary stakeholders for football organizations. Oops. I don't know why it's turning off in 50 seconds. Okay. Okay, sorry. Basically, so in this regard, the principles is that football organizations should promote environmental friendly behaviors, so the active participations of supporters in the sustainability of football events. And this should be achieved by promoting the active engagement of supporters. So all the activities that concern communication with and engagement with supporters should be taken in consideration. Football organizations should communicate their commitment towards environmental sustainability to supporters, and during the event they should remove barriers that somehow limit environmental friendly behaviors from supporters. So these barriers could be, for instance, awareness of environmentally significant aspects and and knowledge about what are the most virtuous behavior at the stadium. So thank you for your attention. This was the overview of the chart.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Niccolò, for this overview of the charter aims and contents. Now we have a speech from one of the league that is participating in the elaboration of the charter. We have Andrea Butti connected from Lega Serie A. Thank you, Andrea, and welcome.
Yes. Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. It's a big honor to be part of this kind of event because we are all committed about these projects. I apologize for the situation, but I'm in the US. We got an important jet lag, and so I'm a bit far away from where I want to be. But in any case, our message is strong and clear because we believe about this kind of engagement that as a league we need to be part of. Starting from with our presentation, we know that from the UN arrives a strong and clear message, which comes directly through the Sports for Climate Action, which sets 5 big principles, which should be the guide or better the light that should enlighten everything about these aspects. We understand that should be 5 principles stress to undertake the systematic efforts to promote greater environmental responsibility, to reduce overall climate impact, to educate for climate action, to promote the sustainable and responsible consumption, and to advocate for climate action through communication. As a chart, we are all committed to set all those principles as our guideline in our action. We draw a sort of status of the art of our division, of our Serie A, and we know that there is one only principle or one only aspect in the governance which is 100% reached as a goal, which is the ethic code green oriented, while all the other aspects from the sustainability department, the LED lights, the biotechnologies and facilities, the waste of recovery, supporters mobility, food surplus management and recovery, the eco-friendly match kit, and the educational policies in plastic reduction or waste recovery are still ongoing. We know that we want to overcome this project to arrive till the end of transforming all green this kind of bars, but we need that the job to be done is still long. As you can see, the recovery of the waste and the ethic code green oriented are we can say 2 of the most important goals already achieved, but we need to set other 6-7 goals that are important, because the photography that we took said us that there are only 2 clubs with a dedicated department and with a sustainability report, we know that it's important to enhance the sustainability policies, and that the path to be done is still long and is still and much strict has to be done. We have an important contribution from one of our clubs, which is Cagliari Calcio. That club is in a specific area of our amazing country, in a region where sustainability is part of the day-by-day culture. We know that they have an important feeling and an important, we can say, red cross about this, and you can see this video just to feel what we are saying. We perfectly know that one of the main aspects on which we should work are stadia and facilities. It's easy to be understood that the lighting system can be easily recognized as one of the main topics on which we should work in terms of sustainability and vision on the future, because obviously the consumption of energy and also the consumption of those lights is something easy to be understood also by the children. But at the moment we got just only 9 stadia full LED. All the others are working on the revamping projects. We got in this moment projects on eco-friendly renovation and constructions which are involving 4 stadia. And we know that we need to work also on the training facilities in terms of LED lighting system, photovoltaic installation, car charging system situation, and the electric car fleet. We can say that in our division, in our Serie A, we got one stadium which is a model of sustainability. This model is the Dutch Arena. We got a quote also from the daughter of the owner, Mrs. Pozzo. She wants to put the Dutch Arena as the greenest stadium, in the panorama of the stadia in Europe. She works to push all the we can say sustainability aspect through the relationship with the partners, through the relationship with the commitment and the territories and the municipality. Everything which is involved in the stadium, it's going in this direction. We totally know that those efforts are fundamental, but are not enough. In fact, we know that we have to work on the separate collection and recovery management, on the water recycling. We need to know on the food surplus management and recovery, with the recycling hospitality food. We need to work on the supporter mobility, which is something obviously that involves also the municipality, but needs to be a stress that comes from us to the municipality, and also to stress to have the official kits that should be done through recycling materials. This is important because those recycling kits are a huge quantity of material during the season, and it's important to understand that those materials should be fully recycled and not a new consumption of material. Serie A is involved in different campaign and activities. We are for sure super active, and we understand the importance of our moral suasion on the people. We know that our campaign on Keep Racism Out, our campaign for to defend women from the violence, which is called Un Rosso alla Violenza, all the recycling campaign that we promote through the stadia, and all our activities through the two big events that we organized, the Italian Super Cup and the final of the Coppa Italia, are those, we can say, locomotive for all the events we can do with the collaboration and the strong commitment of our clubs. We need to plan, obviously, something in the early future. We want to work on the environmental sustainability, on the education for football, on the diversity and inclusion, and the wellness and good practices. Overall, obviously, we would like to be part of projects that can be shared and can make our division super proud of being part of a better world. So this is what we are trying to achieve and to obtain in the early future. Sorry for my I hope my English has been enough, but for sure I hope that I've been woken up enough to explain everything.
Thank you, Mr. Butti. Also, to have wake up early, take into account you are in United States, and thank you very much for these inputs in the discussion that I'm going to open. So I would ask Ernest to come here as moderator of the panel session, and I would invite the panelists to take a seat here at the table. Thank you.
Oh, it's greener now. Okay. So yeah, thank you, Tiberio, for announcing this panel discussion. It's always interesting to have one after an event like this because there is much more happening out there than we think. My name is Ernest. I'm here on behalf of the Association of Cities and Regions for Sustainable Resource Management based in Brussels. I have good news for the technicians. I don't have any presentations. I have one bad news. There should be also a speaker who is following, a panelist who is following us online. So I hope she is tuned in and she can hear us and join us soon. So when it comes to this panel, I'm very happy to welcome the panelists who are coming from 3 different clubs and 3 different countries. Well, 4 different clubs, actually, 4 different countries. So we have here closest to me Andrea Mascietto on behalf of Juventus FC. We have Teresa Santos on behalf of Porto FC, someone we worked a lot during the tackle project because the club and its stadium was one of the several associate stadiums, because we had 11 in total, and Porto, Brussels, Dublin were associated stadiums providing access to certain pilot tests, etc. And there at the very end of the table, we have Rafael Pastor, who is the general manager of the Real Betis Balompié Foundation. And we have Karin Harry also online. Oh, there she is. Hi, Karin. Who is here on behalf of FC Malmö from Sweden. So yes, so I mean, when I joined this project in the beginning, and when ACR Plus, so my NGO was, the NGO I work for, was asked to join this project, I was wondering, what do cities have to do with football? And then I realized a lot, because now, for instance, seeing this huge stadium with 70,000+ seats, I mean, imagine, so if all these 70,000 people come to the game and stay here for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 hours, and then imagine all the things that need to come into stadium, such as all the supplies, the food, the energy that goes into organizing a game. And imagine all the things that are going out, such as waste and all the other output streams. Then one could easily see a football game as a living city for a day. 70,000 people, a medium-sized city, with a lot of processes happening during the day. And this is what made me think, okay, it makes sense to be a technical partner on this project. And I mean, this project is, I need to be humble as well, is probably just a drop in the ocean, because there are so many things happening out there, and this is why I'm happy to welcome you here. And as we could hear both from UEFA and the European Commission, European projects are very important to kind of open doors to possibilities, opportunities, etc. And there are many more projects out there. I would start with Malmö because Karin has to leave in 12:55. I wonder what's the time now. But Karin is here because she is actually, well, Malmö is a partner on another European project called Greenfoot, and it features FC Malmö as a partner. So maybe Karin, if you could tell us maybe some key differences between the two projects and what are the objectives of the Greenfoot in particular.
Okay, hi. I'm sorry I couldn't join you in Rome, but so I'm calling from Lund right now. So I think the main objective of the Greenfoot project is to identify and do technical assessments of the football buildings, and then also try to do good reporting so that we can bring material to the decision makers in the football club, the board, to then make investments in sustainable and new technology. And there's also focus on crowdfunding and communication activities with supporters. We have not been so successful with working with the supporters since we didn't have so many spectators in the stadium the last 2 pandemic years. So I can't tell you so much about that, but I think it's interesting, and also to be able to get external help from external partners to do the technical assessments. So that's the Greenfoot project.
Okay, yeah, technical assessments are very important, and I will get back to them, because I have the feeling that usually whenever we do something, we should start with kind of having an overview and knowing what is the current state of. Yes? Okay. What you said about technical assessments and audits and similar activities, they're important in order to understand the state of the art and kind of know where we are before we actually go into something. And I will get back to that later, because I see it as an important fact. But then you said, yeah, you're kind of trying to report and kind of get information for position papers, decision making. So this makes me think of all the different governance procedures that are usually behind any activities we see in the field. So we heard today, stadium development, infrastructure, etc. So that's what I meant by governance, because it's important to have it behind. So working for a football club, do you see it? How important is it, and how developed it is at the moment? So those people who are making these decisions, how aware are they of the need for perhaps improved governance in football when it comes to environment?
So do you think about it in the football club or in the football family in general?
From your perspective.
Okay, from my perspective. So in the Swedish context, I would have to say that social responsibility is something that I see a lot of football clubs working with, and also the FA. The environmental aspect of football, it's a bit harder, because in Sweden you don't see so many football clubs that owns their stadium. So we are only one of 3 professional football clubs owning their stadium. So, but with that said, for us as a football club, it's very important, because first of all, it's a way of maintaining your building, since we own that. It's a way of cost savings, of course, and it is, of course, also a fantastic opportunity that we have the goal to becoming Sweden's most sustainable football club, and so it's a fantastic opportunity for us to become that. So for us, very important, and if you look into our sponsor companies, we estimate that approximately 70% of the sponsors that we have find sustainability being a crucial part of their sponsorship, 70%. So, and being Sweden's most successful football club and winning like the sponsor league, it is like a very large part of our business and operations. And then it's also a way of contributing back to your local community and to the surrounding society, because you can team up like we have done now with the municipality, not only on the social aspect of sustainability, but also, of course, the environmental part. So we have signed a climate contract, we are doing different kinds of projects together with the municipality and other partners. So I think it is definitely the future. What worries me a bit is in the Swedish context, I find it hard to get enough grassroots and professional football clubs to work with sustainability. And I know this is something the Swedish FA, of course, is looking into, but it worries me a bit because there's so much you can do. But I see that a lot of them are struggling. And when it comes to the board, it is important for them as well to of course see the cost-saving part of like investments in new technology as well. So, and we are good at a lot of things, but we are definitely not technical experts in all aspects of sustainability. So participating in external funded projects with researchers and other experts, it is a fantastic opportunity for us, and I think the board sees that.
Okay, thank you, Karin. Yeah, what you mentioned about the capacities and the knowledge, etc. This is maybe something I would like to talk to Andrea about, because he's a sustainability manager at Juventus FC. So could you perhaps describe what your department looks like? How do you organize? Because it's also part of governance. I mean, someone needs to arrange all these departments and the staff and the capacities. So maybe describe just your workplace, and then also you could maybe go into activities and how this department functions on a daily basis.
So thank you for this question, because from my side it's very important. Juventus is not just a football club, just to say we are also a listed company. So for us it's a little bit different, because we have some external regulation to adapt our governance on sustainability. But beside this, I truly believe that sustainability has to become a topic for the company, and that is possible only if you bring the topic on the top level of the leadership of the club, of the company. I call my club as a football company, because I truly believe that the sustainability has to be treated as a business topic, also inside the football world. And so I believe my first responsibility inside the club is to bring awareness about these topics to the leadership and also to the board level. And from this season, we are, I think, the first club in Italy that we had a ESG committee inside our board of directors, and so it's a big result of our sustainability journey. And so I believe, and we see I talk about the Italian football situation, as Andrea Butti said before, the KPIs are not so good, let me say, about the Italian Football League. We had a few teams that had a sustainability department, a sustainability dedicated people that are working on this. And I believe it is a point of improvement, for sure, because also, as Michele Uva said before, UEFA will be a new requirement for the next season. So I believe a main point of improvement for all the clubs. Internally, we had a team that is totally dedicated to this, both social and environmental impact. And we are looking to grow also my team, because we need it. We have a lot of new expectations and requirements by our external stakeholders. As Karin said, the sponsors are demanding for this, for sure. Also the investors for us, because we are a listed company. I believe together with Borussia and Borussia Dortmund, and other clubs, we are following for rating agencies, for example. And in the future, I believe also other clubs will be part of this group of clubs. In March, Standard Ethics announced a list of a sort of list of rating for football clubs. In Italy, the rate was just for the listed companies, so for us and for Lazio, but also Manchester United, Olympic Lyon, and other clubs that they had a rating. So, just to close this sentence, I believe at the governance level, the sustainability has to be a key topic for the present, but also for the future. And I believe if in 2022 we are still talking about if there is an opportunity or we have any doubt about this, we are more or less 5 or 10 years in the past, because now we have to act.
Okay. I mean, feeding information to the board and to the kind of the governing bodies is important. What about the other direction towards really like the staff and different groups working around the pitch, whether, you know, maintenance or waste or water management? Do you provide trainings every now and then, or do you explain those manual workers who are, you know, there around the stadium how things should be? And
clear. Yes, I talk about our model because they exist in the business a lot of models, but the Juventus current model is working for us because we have a sort of organization that works in different ways. For example, about the maintenance, we are the owner of our stadium, for example, so it's a different situation from a lot of other clubs in Italy. And our stadium is not a new building, but was built in 2011. So we are talking about not a new building and new features, but about a management of existing building with a focus on maintenance and also continuous improvement. And so the role of my function of the sustainability department is to set a bar of common awareness about the topics, and also to set a plan made of targets and KPI that also for internal control, let me say, and we are looking for the future to communicate also some new targets to external. But I believe that before to go external, we have to set up let me say, a strong attitude and also a strong approach on something that is not on the top priority on the agenda of the other function, not to all function, let me say, because for the stadium, let me say, is something very easy because now is a part of their daily activities. For example, our stadium is certificated for ISO 40000 and also for sustainable events, and so the sustainability is a daily part of their activities, but it's not the same for other functions, let me say, about commercial area, for example, that every day we have to explain and teach and talk with them to improve the current situation.
But having your own, it's a pity. I forgot just to mention that unfortunately Andrea Santini, the head of Olimpico, could not join us today here on the panel, because I was actually having a question for the panelists, because also from my own, the tackle experience, I saw quite big differences between a club or a federation owning a stadium and using or renting someone else's stadium. And now when I look here, I think FC Porto has its own stadium, Betis has its own stadium, so yeah, I can't really ask this question. But I want to get back to this sponsorship thing that Karin mentioned, and it's quite impressive that what the research or a survey, I don't know where do these 70% come from, is that they kind of are linked to kind of the good good environmental performances. Well, I mean, Rafael here is the general manager of Real Betis Balompié Foundation. So I remember when I was reading the reports from Sevilla, the tackle reports, I understood that the foundation, so there's a football club, and the foundation is something that is kind of taking care of everything around the club that is not football itself.
Yeah, more or less. We are like the area of the club in charge of canalizing all the corporate social responsibility of the club, as we can say as the executor body of the club of everything around corporate social responsibility, but in a very mainstream way in the whole club. When you were mentioning before about how the sustainability strategy is dropping on the rest of the areas, I was remembering that for us is a key element to have a sustainability committee with all the areas of the club, including marketing, including facilities, purchase. Everyone is coordinating and participating in the sustainability strategy of the club. So, we are trying to push, raise awareness among all the employees, among all the areas, are of course with our fans.
Okay, and what I see, so all the kind of the visibility, the partnerships. So I mean, there is even a project dedicated to this, the green, the Forever Green project. So is Forever Green also the kind of the project that kind of canalizes and deals with sponsors? Like how do you maintain good environmental practices with still being attractive to external stakeholders?
We truly believe in Real Betis and from the top level of the club that nowadays sponsorship is something that is coming closer to values and coming closer to this kind of topic related with sustainability, and not so linked only to visibility, which also still is. But nowadays, I think we are really committed with this kind of partnership, because they last longer in time, because it's not the same if you have a common project, a common commitment with a partner. And it is true that we are getting some partnership that, of course, maybe it's something that so many people have said before, but for us, they are not sponsorship. They are collaborators with what we are trying to do through Forever Green. And we want to hear them. We want to generate new projects together. We want them to join and to coordinate and to participate in the projects that we are putting in place. And my feeling in this regard is that this is giving us new opportunities to generate different ways of collaboration. For example, I don't know, last week we launched our new partnership with our new car supplier, and they, of course, they have electric cars. So it is true that the full environment around the club is sensitive and sensible with sustainability, and I think we are really attracting this sensibility coming from the partners that we have around. So I think it's like I would say it's like a virtuous circle, because with our suppliers, with our sponsors, with the employees, with everyone, like we have this engagement of this commitment that we are trying to inspire around us. So.
Yeah, I mean, fan engagement, I mean, this social acceptance in many fields is very important, because if something you introduce, something you change, is not accepted by those who are supposed to use it, well, then we're in a cul-de-sac, as the French would say, because then, well, there is, of course, way back, but it might be much more expensive than thinking over and totally, new decisions and then implementing them. Teresa, you were also, I mean, FC Porto and the stadium, you also participated in these surveys with fans. Do you have some, maybe, because we saw those colors that Tiberio quickly showed, but we didn't really go into them, so maybe this is an opportunity to go into the, let's say, the FC Porto reality, like the results from Porto. Like that kind of confirm or deny this fan engagement, this kind of social acceptance? Are the fans ready for these changes?
Yes, we made some surveys, and we had the confirmation that the supporters, they are more loyalty when they know the clubs have these environmental and social concerns in our policies. And we receive not several, but hundreds of improvement suggestions regarding the environmental. So this proof they are awareness and they want the clubs do more. And I think the clubs now, they are more than a football club. They have the responsibility to include these environmental and social matters in our policies. And the best way is our example. Okay. If you have good examples to show, they are more committed with the club.
Thank you. Karin, before you leave, maybe I was just looking at the time. Maybe you could just, quickly, now that we're speaking about this fan engagement and social acceptance, how do you check if the fans are happy with your choices and your decisions?
Well, everyone that works for a football club knows the massive inflow of comments, both negative and positive. And I have to say that when it comes to sustainability, because I listened to Andrea, and also we have done the same internal process. We have worked for a lot of years, like not so external, but much more with the internal process when it comes to like sustainability. And so people started asking us, why aren't you communicating about it, or aren't you doing anything? So releasing the first sustainability report was a very important thing for us, and also signing the climate contract to show also the fans that we are really ahead of the curve, and we are getting emails, and also the board is getting emails, and people are writing to us on Twitter and just cheering us on. So I would have to say that it's really, really nice. And then we do this every second year. We do surveys to the fans, and there is always questions about like social responsibility or sustainability, and they always score very high. And I think that it's also a part of our identity, especially the social responsibility. It's like in the club's DNA, and people are very proud about that. And now I think Malmö is a city full of challenges, but also full of opportunities. And for us, as the largest brand or the largest sport entity in the region, to take on the leading position here makes our fans happy. But I do get the occasional email saying, "Are you crazy? Why do you spend money on this? Why don't you buy this kind of football player? Or why don't you hire another trainer? Or why don't you?" But I think that then you're on the track when people are reacting with positive or negative comments. So, and I think in the Swedish context, it is. I mean, on average, the individuals living in Sweden, I think, are quite aware, and we have a well built out system when it comes to waste management and returnal system on PET plastic bottles and so on. So I think that for the general public, it is how should I say? It's necessary to also show that you as a football club is doing your fair share to the environment. So, but we need to communicate even more, and I hope that will be our main focus now. Do good things, but also communicate. It's a struggle sometimes to do both. Yeah.
Well, I think I understand those angry fans. Being a football fan myself, I'm sure 3 points and titles are more important than 100% recycling rate. No, but jokes aside, I know you should probably be leaving soon, so I would like to thank you already now for your participation and your time. And I hope to meet you somewhere soon at another event or something, and see how far you got with your new project. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, and thanks for inviting me. Thank you. Thank you to all the other panelists as well.
So the Life Tackle project, I mean, we were talking about sponsorship, about fans, about governance, so this was an important aspect of the project, but another one which actually took much longer than originally planned are all the little kind of operational activities in the stadiums, doing pilot tests, etc. And so I know that from the reports, of course, and I was there, and that FC Porto started not all the pilot tests, but this kind of something that marked the beginning of improving environmental practices were these audits, environmental data analysis, life cycle assessments, and all these different methodologies for doing what I mentioned earlier, like knowing the state of art and the starting point. Could you perhaps describe what did you use, what did you get as a result, and how will you use it in the future?
So we are certified by quality and environmental standards since 2003, so this is not new for us. With this, one of the pilot measures was calculate carbon footprint, and as already was said before, the most impact is the supporters' travelings and also the consumption of the electricity. What are you doing about that? So, as I said, the reduction of the consumption, also electricity and gas, is always a goal in our policy. So we have a lot of measures regarding that. For us, it's very important the operational. Sorry for my English control. Is very important. We every day see the data consumptions, analyze, because it doesn't matter if you have data but you don't analyze and action with this data. So for us this is a very important measure, and we are doing this along all these years. And regarding the travel of the sponsors, we know that is the major impact, but also is an indirect impact. So it's not easier to work with that. For example, we install bicycle parks in our stadium, but no one used this. So we have a lot of things to do in this topic. We think we should improve our raising awareness about that with our supporters. Fortunately, we have a stadium with public transportation, metro and train and bus stations. So we need to communicate more with our supporters to use more this kind of transportation instead of their own vehicles. So maybe to create a carpooling platform, or to have sponsorship with partnerships with the public transportation. We think these are some measures that we can do to improve in this matter. We also are planning to offset the emissions resulting the match for the next season.
Okay. I mean, I know where the stadium is located in Porto, and cycling up to the hill, I mean, I probably wouldn't cycle myself. But if I remember well, Rafael, in Sevilla we did also during the project a survey on mobility.
Yes.
Yes. What did that show? I mean, is Sevilla any flatter than Porto? Is it easier to cycle there? Or?
It's fully flatter.
Okay.
It's a very friendly city for biking. Also, we don't have so much rain, so also it makes it easier. In fact, this last match we had, we were really worried because we had like the Forever Green match, and we were supporting very strongly the eco-friendly mobility, to use the bike and everything, but the forecasts were horrible for the rain. But fortunately, finally, we had nice weather. Well, for example, during this survey, thanks to this survey, we detected that one of the main concerns of the fans to come to the stadium by bike was the security of the bike. So this is why we decide to have someone taking care of it, to put some volunteers facilitating this process to leave the bike and to secure the bike, and also to have a guard taking care of it. So, well, we are still trying to promote it, because we have just started to promote this way of mobility to the stadium after the COVID, because we recently restart to have fans in the stadium, more or less. So yeah, this kind of action coming from Taken was really useful for us to have I was thinking now while you were talking that for us was crucial to start checking which is the best internal process to put these small pilots or these actions in place, and how to talk with, who to talk with, and if you have to check first with the board or how to do it. And this was great for us to start doing these little things that nowadays, thanks to Tackle and to Forever Green. For example, this last game we did like more than 10 pilots actions through Forever Green and through sustainability around the game. So these were great tests for us to start this approach and to start checking this sensibility of the rest of the areas, and well, I think was great and very important for us to have this first touch, I would say.
Okay, thank you. Every now and then I try to look at the audience if there is anyone with a question before I kind of ask my last several questions. I don't see any yet. So try to think of a question. Until then, Andrea, so you have a new stadium, 2011, you said. So, for instance, so we were talking about all these pilot tests, mobility, electricity, water saving, etc., etc. How much can, in existing stadiums, so how much can, for instance, building a new stadium, like what do you need to pay attention to when building a new stadium in order to kind of be sure that your environmental practices will be fine and good for the next 10, 15 years? Like how to avoid all these introducing new things by just simply building a new stadium?
So it's a complicated question.
I think so.
But I'm okay with this. So our stadium is not new, because it's a 10-year stadium. From my side, it's not a new stadium. Okay. Compared to the other Italian stadium, maybe it's new, but we are talking about 2011 construction. And so the context and also the rules and also the best practice in 2011 was totally different. Also to the culture on this compared to today was totally different. And so this is the first point. If you are asking me a new stadium in 2022 that I have to resist for the next 10, 20 years, at this moment we had a lot of best practice and also a lot of standards that we can follow. And so this is a good point from one side, and from the other side there is a sort of no excuses to fail, let me say, because I hope that but it's my personal belief thinking that the new stadium that will come in Italy, but also in Europe, that I hope that the sustainability will be a focus, a real focus for this new building, because it's not because I am asking, but because the people, the new generation are asking for this, because we are in a moment that if we see the fans that are attending a match, we see not so much kids or young people, and so this will be a lever for the future if we are not meeting, my personal believing that if we are not meeting this kind of, also this kind of request, and we are continue to act as usual, over the last 20 years, we are very missing a piece of future of the football. Maybe someone is looking at it is not important because they don't understand completely that what it means. But I believe that is very important, and I hope that who is building a new stadium is taking care in a serious way of this, not just some announcements, let me say, or just some pilot project that is a good point for someone is taking care, is already start a journey on this. But if you are bringing a new stadium, for example, in this case, you need to take the topic in a different way from the beginning, for sure.
Okay, now I was asking this question because my favorite team is building a new stadium next year, a completely new one, so I was trying to take some notes and tell them what to do and what not to do. But okay, I'll ask someone else. So any questions? No, okay, here comes another one then. So now I'm asking this question from the perspective of ACR Plus, the Association of Cities and Regions for Sustainable Resource Management. Thank God we have a shorter name, that I work for. So when you are thinking of your, let's say, sustainability strategies, your targets, your KPIs, etc., how often do you go to your local city or region and ask them, okay, what are your strategies and what are your targets so that we can make something that is aligned, and so that our efforts of our football clubs actually contribute to the target of the respective authority? Teresa, maybe. So FC, we worked, so thanks to Lipor, who was a partner on the project, we got FC Porto on board. So, obviously you already work together a lot, but on a daily basis, or when you are creating some strategic document, what does this cooperation look like, if there is any?
Yes, for example, last month we signed a pact with our municipality. It's like an agreement until 2030, zero offset emissions. So we try always to work together, the municipality, also Lipor is a municipal company, waste company. So we know if we are involved with the community and with the municipality institutes, we have better results, and we try always to work together. It's not easier always, but we try it at least.
Okay. Rafael?
Well, I was thinking, we are aligning the strategy by doing. So each time we want to execute a project or one of these initiatives, we always try to inform the local government to check in which way they want to participate or they want to join it. So in these usual conversations that we have with them, we really test how, if we are aligned or not. They always support us because we are aware that they have a general strategy to decrease the temperature of the city. But it is true that there is no like a common space to talk and to check and to align it specifically. Maybe this is something that we need to review. But it is true that, as I told you before, I feel like we are in the same way, but maybe not in an official mood, we can say.
Yeah.
The question from my side is if the city or local institution had a strategy about these topics. because not really happen in sometimes. And I believe about environmental is not bad, but it's difficult because the culture, the awareness is not so high. I talk about Italy situation, our situation, but maybe it's more easier when we talk about social impact because it's more related about CSR, do the good things, and we have some common field to operate together, and also they understand better what we can do and what we want to do. About environmental, it's not so easy because sometimes it's not a joke. The institution has not targets on this, and so we develop our journey, our targets based on our numbers, on our needs, and we have to operate alone in the dark, let me say, without any support because they are not ready to also to understand this kind of journey.
But then, for instance, if they don't understand yet the point and why are we doing all this, I mean, football is very big in Italy. I mean, every country, especially in Europe. Then how, for instance, everyone is watching, everyone knows what is UEFA, what is FIFA, so how much could, for instance, all these new strategies that, I mean, for instance, the one that was presented today, how much can they perhaps change the perception of environment for the fans? Because they will know if there is a UEFA Cup, what's it called, Champions League final, or the European Cup, World Cup in Europe, I mean, they will be just by default exposed to these new things because the organizer will have to do that.
Yeah, I believe that the real difference is not, let me say, tick a box with okay, I did this, but is the real differentiator, let me say, is how you do this. And for example, before this morning, Uwe said that for the next season, they required to have a sustainability manager and sustainability strategy for each club. But if this is just a request on a piece of paper, is a step. But if you don't control or you have a qualitative control on this, is another story. And the same, for example, I believe is for the environment that we have around us. For example, I talk about our city, Turin. I'm not talking about our events. I talk about ATP finals, the tennis finals in Turin during last months. Our local transportation operator had an agreement with the ATP to serve the people who want to join the finals with the public transportation. But from our point of view, was a very basic approach that is not in line with the 2022 expectations. Sorry. And so we have to work together both on grow up the awareness and at the same time to go very deeply on the needs of the people and also of the club from our point of view.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And for instance, for the daily, there's, I mean, one other thing that very often generates a lot of this kind of indirect impact. I'm just thinking again about operations and daily activities, this kind of green procurement and, buying things for your whatever, your office, the event, etc. So for instance, Porto, how do you select who will supply you with different things? Like, do you have some green procurement practices in place?
It's not applied to all organizations because, like Juventus, we have several companies in the same. We have different companies in the club. Mm-hmm. So, for example, our company is responsible for all the facilities. We have this implemented in all contracts. For example, for the cleaning products, cleaning. Company. In the contract, we prefer companies nearby our localization. We have, for example, biodegradable products they should use. they have to be responsible for all the waste. So in the contracts we have a lot of environmental measures, but this does not apply to all the organization. We try to improve to everyone, but it's not easier because we are a club, we have sponsorships, and sometimes it's not easy to implement, but we try. Every providers that we control to include these environment aspects in the contracts.
Okay. And in case of Betis, this does not fall under your responsibility?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay.
In fact, through Tackle, we did this first step with our purchase department, and it was great. It is true that this was something. I was thinking while she was talking, like we have like these two ways, like we have the formal way and the informal one. I mean, it is true that we have that in the call for proposals for services, inspiring and trying to select those who are more environmental friendly. But at the same time, there is a drop by drop in the day by day, like, okay, remind that you choose. You should try to choose something sustainable. And we are so close in the office that even with a smile or you go there and please, we are going to buy this, please remember to take this into account, okay? This way you do it more, not like an obligation, more like your responsibility as well and your involvement as well with all this movement that we are trying to do is to remember this and well, there's so many times what concerns our team in purchases the price, but so many times there is so much difference. For example, if you are trying to select a product or a service, and so many times you select services and companies that maybe they don't know that they are implementing eco criteria in their process. So it's a question of conversations and with them and to raise the value of the things that so many people are doing around you, I think.
Okay. Still no questions? Then I will ask. There is one. Yay.
Thank you. I was wondering to ask you if there's any kind of partnership with national clubs. For example, I'm thinking about Real Betis that some week ago undertook a partnership with with Zenit St. Petersburg and also with Athletic Bilbao. So it's really interesting to know if in Italy there's something in this direction or in Portugal.
So my personal answer is that taking in account about Italian culture and football is not so easy. Also, if we are talking about something very important for the entire world, we are not just talking about football. So until now, the first steps of a common project is held by Lega Serie A. For example, from last year, we had a CSR committee called CSR Committee, and there's I think a first step to try to work together, and I believe is a good starting point for taking care about the Italian culture and football. But if you ask about a project similar to Real Betis example, is not happening until now. Also environmental, because about environmental there is no topic to talk. Also any other people to talk about in other clubs. Also, as Andrea Butti said before, this is the current situation.
Well, just to add. at least we besides Forever Green, which main aim is to show what everyone is doing for the fight against climate change. In fact, through Forever Green, we have had the National Football League of Futsal, so we have joined the other different teams to the platform. Besides that, there is a quite continuous communication with all the teams. For example, with the bike parking, we all know that Real Sociedad has done already this initiative since a long time ago, and they have the expertise and the knowledge about which things to take into account. So we did a call. We have a very good relationship, and at least we share this knowledge and this experience. And thanks to La Liga Foundation, in which so many teams we are meeting regularly, we share these kind of initiatives, and it is true that sometimes there's something in common, like you have said with Athletic Club de Bilbao, but for example with Celta, again, they also are very active in this regard. So there is a good scenario to generate this kind of common projects, I would say.
In our case, the National League has a working group regarding sustainability, so we share a lot of the experience, and it's a very good example, and every league should do the same, because it's football. Everyone, of course, every clubs want to win in the football, but in sustainability we should work together, and it's a good example.
Thank you very much for the question. I have to be honest, believe me or not, that was exactly the question I wanted to ask. So there will be one question less today. What I could share, maybe just I would now jump into different shoes as maybe a panelist for a second. So we had the local dissemination event similar to this in Brussels last week. And we had some amazing speakers and experiences from Belgian football, from different clubs, as individual efforts, as impressive as these three people here. And the conclusion was yes, unfortunately Belgium, one of the point of the event, the objective, was to create a platform to kind of, not to motivate, but to basically oblige the Pro League. They were there, they didn't want to speak because they were not sure what to speak about, and now we are looking at creating a platform, because events like this, projects like this, and efforts like this, I feel that these are some great starting points for, especially for peer-to-peer learning. So to influence those clubs around you, maybe your city rival, maybe your regional rival, and then, you know, all the other clubs, because those other clubs who want to do something, they need someone to go to ask for, okay, how do I do this? I saw you did it, so how do I do this? So yeah, platforms like this are important. Yeah, there's a question in the back.
I very much agree with what has been said by the panel in terms of peer learning, peer pressure. I think they're both important. I mean, they're both important dynamics in this standard setting environment. But I was wondering, to a certain extent, what's the role of expectation? We were told this morning by Michele Uva that, you know, we need to make commitment, but at the same time, we shouldn't ask the football community itself to solve all these issues. So I was wondering, to a certain extent, how do you go about balancing this commitment that are important, but, you know, not overemphasizing, you know, the role of football in society as such?
Okay, I answered that. I believe that as all the other sector, we have to understand which are our weight about our footprint, about our environmental footprint. So I believe this is a common approach of all the sectors. About football, my hope is that that sentence that football don't save the world, or the sentence of this morning will not be an excuse to don't act. and that happens in the last years for sure. And I hope also that will not happen in the future, because for sure we'll not save the world. We are our impact is not comparable to other business. But we know that. But at the same time, we know that we have to do something, because we had a small impact and we have to take care of this. But at the same time, we know that we have a soft power that only football have, and we have to raise on this, I believe, because it's something that just football have, and we have to use it in a proper way. We not save the world for sure. We are not the most pollution sector, but we have to take action for sure. This is my opinion.
Well, besides that, to add something, we have thought about it. In fact, Forever Green has this slogan to help saving it, to help. We are not going to save it for sure, but at least we can try to put what we have. I think we have the capacity to influence in people, to make them request from government, from who has to take the decisions to request more sustainable ways of living. And thinking on the reflection of this morning of Michele, I was thinking, okay, which is the most challenging thing that we have now as sector? I'm thinking a lot I think in the flights and in the mobility that we have to afford as clubs just to compete. We are not scientists. We cannot research on how to reduce the pollution that those flights we take. We cannot solve this, but of course we can request to the companies to do so, and we can request solutions to this. But we don't know how to solve it. But I think as Andrea was saying, we have the responsibility. I really believe that we have the responsibility of having the dimension that we have with society. So I truly believe that we need to use it in a good way and mobilize people to it.
Teresa, would you
Totally
like to say?
agree.
Okay, good. If there are no more questions, I don't know, any final words from your side? What would you like football to look like in, I don't know, 5-10 years in terms of environment, or?
Difficult one. I think we already said the message. We have a huge impact, so the clubs must use that to influence and to have a green impact in the environmental.
Okay, well, in that case, I would like to thank you very much for your attention and the panelists for being here, because if there were no panelists, there wouldn't be any panel. And I don't have the agenda in front of me, so where is Tiberio? I'm looking at Tiberio, I'm looking at Barbara. Barbara is waving. All good. So what do I tell the audience now? No, I think there are more important people who are working on this project to close this conference. So I invite Mr. Tiberio Daddi to close this conference and roll the project as a project coordinator.
I don't have anything to add, actually. I would like only to thank you to all the speakers. Thank you to all the speakers for these inputs. Surely have been useful for future development of this kind of project and of this kind of action. So let's hope to be here in some months or some years to discuss about this issue that you have raised and we have raised in this event toward the sustainability in football. That I agree again with you and with Andrea that we can improve surely the performance of football organization independently by the fact that these are relevant or not relevant, because you have in somehow to understand when you specify that is relevant or not is compared with what. And so I think that all of you have some responsibility in terms of environmental protection from all sectors, independently by their environmental impact. And so as Sant'Anna University and also as a group of partners that work on these topics, I think we will continue to try to pursue this objective and to do this together.
So thanks again to all of you for attending this event, for people and guests online. And I would like particular attention to technicians from Sant'Anna in Pisa, the technical staff for Sport e Salute and TC Digital, that they help us in this quite challenging meeting, half online, above all online, so people connected from all around the world, I have to say. So thanks for all the partners. They will be together for all this period of the project that I couldn't believe that we arrived so fast at the end. I'm so sad about that. But I think that with Life Tackle project, we will be able to improve more and more from our side, our governance, and thanks to the legacy of this project, we will be able to do more in our clubs and in our organization. So thanks to Sport e Salute to welcome us in this wonderful location. Now we will have lunch together if you want, if some of you is interested in a tour of the stadium. So yeah, we'll be more than welcome to be part of this tour. Thanks again. Bye-bye, Life Tackle.